Hi everybody, and welcome to this lecture, number 3 of our IFRS lectures, where we're going to kind of collect together various different things that I've not covered in either of the previous lectures. We'll talk about profit timings, which that does kind of continue and kind of overlap with what we were talking about how the CSM emerges as profit over time, in particular with the example that we explored in the last lecture. So that one follows on quite well, and then all of the others are kind of quite separate ideas or things that you need to realise that I've not covered in either of the other two sessions. In terms of how we break this lecture up into videos, I think we might do just a video for each of these different bullet points in this kind of contents or agenda, but we'll see how we go. Okay, so for this one, we are going to start with profit timings. So, profit timings. First bullet. In the last lecture, in the example, we assumed that our policy, and I'll put in brackets, or group of policies, this will become more relevant when we get to a later section, provided the same, in inverted commas, transfer of services to the policyholder in each year of the term, i.e. there were no lapses, our probability of claim is pretty much the same, so in some sense our transfer of services to the policyholder is the same in each year throughout the term. We're doing the same amount of work for the policyholder, typically in each of the different years. However, lapse rates and other decrements, let's put in brackets, e.g. mortality, can change that. So to kind of illustrate this, I'm going to say, suppose we choose, so we're not told that this is the thing to do, but I'm saying we choose to define this formula. So transfer of services in a year to be equal to the sum over all existing policyholders in a year, i.e. the ones that haven't lapsed. And then I'm going to put in the Q, so say probability of death, as a function of policyholder age times the sum assured for that existing policyholder. So remember, when you read through the regulations, in place of transfer of services, you might, or you probably will see the words contractual units. But this comes to essentially the same way of thinking about this. You're trying to figure out how you should divide up the profit between all the different years, in line with the service that the insurance company is providing all the different policyholders. So suppose that we decide that we're going to define transfer of services in a particular year as this formula. So the sum over all existing policyholders in a year of the QX, or Q for policyholder age, times the sum assured for that particular policyholder. Then you could get results that look a little bit like the following. So then the formula could be high in early years before lapses have an effect. Then it could be lower in middle years, and higher in later years when the Q as a function of policyholder age gets big. So yes, so this this transfer of services in a year could be high early on when you're summing over basically all the policyholders you ever took on, maybe lower in the middle once the lapses have started to take an effect, and maybe bigger later on. Even though lots of people have lapsed, maybe the queue is really, really big and that adds up to a large number. This isn't necessarily correct for your particular contract or group of contracts, but you could imagine ending up with this kind of shape for the result of this calculation. So let's suppose that this is this kind of thing is what happens. Let's give ourselves some space actually, so let's just go back up and head along. So let's say if so, you would change the divisors, these were D in our table from the last lecture, so that more CSM, let's just undo that, more CSM is released as profit in the early years, less in the middle years, and more in the later years. It is up to you how you figure this out. So yes, so basically the results that you get from that transfer of services formula. Can I get there quickly? Let's see. Yeah, so the results that you get from this formula up here could be high early on, low in the middle, higher later, and then those kinds of results would then change how you figure out the divisors in that table from the previous lecture, which would then lead to more CSM being released as profit early on, less in the middle years, and then more later on. But yes, exactly how you do it isn't prescribed in the regulations. It's up to you to decide what you think is reasonable about how you do that. Okay, that's what I wanted to say about profit timings. So let's stop this section here, and then we'll come back for the next section in the next video, which will be on groupings.